Hello everyone, I'm Cici Chen. Welcome to Investing Financial Forum. In this video, we will share the most recent market updates on finance and investment. Although we are not able to provide you personal financial advice, we hope you find it helpful for your own financial arrangement. In our last episode, we talked about market conditions. After the release of the first episode, we did receive some emails from our lovely audience. We really appreciate your feedback and opinions. Now, let's move on to discover some investment opportunities that might suit you. According to SQM research, there has recently been a fourfold monthly increase in the mortgage investments. Investments in mortgage trusts, which include pool mortgage fund, contributory mortgage fund, and other related mortgage funds, have grown by 30 to 40% over the past 12 months to more than 15 billion. You might wonder why the mortgage-related investments attract such a huge favorable attention despite the current economic conditions. And how does the mortgage fund normally work? Come with me and let's see how the expert explains. Welcome back to our online forum, JT. Today we are going to discuss about mortgage-related investment. I know that you have running one of the largest mortgage fund in Australia, which is over 3 billion, and you haven't lost any sense of the invested capital, which is an incredible achievement. Can you please give us some insight on how the mortgage fund works?
Yes, it's my pleasure to do that, CC. It is, can I say, the time is right to invest in a mortgage fund. Part of what the government is trying to do at the moment is to make sure there's enough money available for small businesses to get back operating. And so what a mortgage fund does is to find good commercial borrowers, lend them money for their business at both good rates for the borrower and good rates for investors. So what happens with a mortgage fund is that a number of investors pool their money, put it together, and then the investment manager goes and finds a good investment for them. In today's market, the investor could be looking at returns, a net return anywhere from 6 to 9%, which of course CC is much better than you can get on a term deposit. And importantly, it's not a bank investment, but investors have the security of a first registered ranking mortgage over property. And most good fund managers will only lend to 65%, which means it would almost take a whole collapse of the economy before investors lost their money.
That's true. So as we know, there are two types of funds in Australia. One is pool mortgage fund, another one is contributory mortgage fund. So what do you think are the main difference between these two structures?
Yes, there are two forms of mortgage funds, CC. The pooled fund is where people put their money in collectively, but they leave it to the manager completely to determine what type of investments, what borrowers they'll lend to, and what term. In fact, the investor never is provided with any of that information because they rely upon the manager. With a contributory fund, people will still go in and invest, but they invest in a particular mortgage, and they can have access to that mortgage. They can have access to what the property looks like, who the borrower is, what financial capacity they have. There are pluses and minuses to both. If you invest in a contributory fund, then you are investing only in one borrower. And in the very unlikely event that borrower defaulted and for whatever reason there was a shortfall, then the investor suffers that whole loss. Where with a pooled fund, particularly a big pool fund, if there were hundreds of loans, if one borrower defaulted and there was a small loss, there is only a very small ripple effect. Both are good, but it doesn't matter which one you pick, CC. The important thing is make sure you pick a very good manager who knows what they're doing.
Right, that sounds good. Speaking of the mortgage investment, people may think of American subprime loans. So what do you think are the main difference between that and the mortgage fund in Australia?
Well, the good news, CC, is they are completely different. The mortgages in America, as you called them, were subprime. The important thing is they lent money to very nice people, but people who had no capacity to repay the loans. And they lent the money to buy residential property to live in, and that scheme only worked whilst ever property prices increased. And as soon as they started to decrease, that market collapsed. It was actually fraud on behalf of the promoters. In Australia, with the mortgage funds that we operate, we don't lend money to individuals to go and buy a house. We don't do that.
Yep.
We lend money to businesses to invest, to grow their business, and we make sure they have the capacity to not only pay the interest on the loan, but the loan back at maturity. So they are completely different, and the amount that we're prepared to lend against the property is generally 65%, where the subprime was up to 95%. So the good news, CC, is that there is no relationship whatsoever. Commercial mortgages in Australia are, in my view, a great form of investment.
Right. Thank you for sharing your insights today, JT. I believe most of our audience would have a better understanding of how the mortgage fund works. And I think the key to choose a suitable investment product is really depends on the knowledge they have on the investment product and also their own risk appetite. Hope you enjoyed the topic today, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions or opinions, please do not hesitate to contact us by email. Welcome to subscribe our channel and give us a like if you think this video is helpful. I'll see you next time.